Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm starting a showcase walkthrough demonstration of Praga Caput Regni by Vladimir Suchi. Yeah, really the mastermind behind a lot of cool other games. The game comes with a solo mode, but I'm not going to showcase this one to you. There are various reasons for that, but today I'm really focusing on the 3-player experience. I think really the game, the more the merrier. It's totally fine with 2 players too. I really enjoyed it a big deal too, but I still think maybe 3 or 4 players is a little bit better, especially because we have some kind of area majority mechanisms in this game. But again, apart from that, it really plays extremely well with only 2 players too. In respect to table space, this game is truly a monster, so I will not be able to show you everything with a single shot here, but as usual I will zoom in on the areas of interest here. Again, I'm doing a 3-player game. I'm using the 3D components for the Hunger Wall and the St. Vitus Cathedral here. You don't really have to use them. Everything is perfectly fine by just using the border, but again, I want to show you as much as possible from the game. I think the one thing where you really have to use or should use the 3D components is the Charles Bridge here. Exactly. It comes with different kind of setup modes, so you can mix and match those things here. Overall, this game really offers a lot of replayability in respect to the components. So a lot of randomization is taking place without making the game random. I mean, that's really a great thing. So if you really, like me, want a different gaming experience, at least somewhat of a different challenge each time you play, then this game is perfectly fine. But apart from that, it's really not destroying the game in any way. It's simply making sure that one player is not pursuing the very same strategy each time they're playing the game. Again, huge fan of that myself. As far as I understood, each player will have 16 turns until the game is over. I have to believe that. I never counted it before. I didn't really play the massive amount of times, actually. I only played a couple of 2-player games so far, and I really enjoyed those. So I really, this whole crane rondel mechanism here, which is turning, is a mystery to me. I have to confess that. But yeah, let's see how things go. I was also using the more random setup here in respect to those action tiles here. There's also a recommended way to do that, and you should, I think, really, you are encouraged to follow those recommendations in respect to the setup, but it's also not breaking the game or making this game totally random in any way. I think I will explain you everything as I go. The gameplay itself is very, very simple actually. The complexity really comes in respect to all those little components and how you can maximize the victory points out of them. So it's really a massive brain exercise every now and then, really making the best guess in respect to when to go for a wall, for an upgrade or development tile or whatever they are called, or a building here, where to place those, how to rotate those. So this is where the game really gets tricky. But in respect to its actions, it's a very simple game actually. Blue will be the starting player. This is the starting setup for all the players. We start with 2 gold, 2 stones. This is our production tracks here for stone, or the quarries and the gold mines here. We have the child's library and we have the university. These are those tracks in here. They basically come with 2 different backgrounds. First of all, it's for victory points. So here is a multiplier in that. So the higher you get here and the higher you get there, the higher you can multiply that value. But again, something I will explain a little bit later. On this track here, I think this is the library. Actually, it's simply the technology track. I just checked that. And just to give you a little bit of background what this game is all about, let's have a quick read of the rules here, the game overview. Players take the role of wealthy citizens organizing various building projects in medieval Prague. By expanding their wealth and contributing to the construction, they gain favor with the king. Players choose from 6 actions which are always available, but weighted with a constantly shifting array of costs and benefits. Clever players, not myself actually, will discover synergies between carefully timed actions and the rewards from constructing the civil projects. At the end of the game, the winner is the player who has most impressed King Charles. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we are trying to do. more or less developing the city of Prague here. I'm really a huge fan of this medieval artwork. I like it a lot. It's very busy. I totally get it. And the first time you look at it, you say, wow, what's going on here? But as soon as you start playing, everything gets clear and it's very easy to follow, actually. I couldn't believe it myself when I first played this game, because I watched it and saw that, what's going on here? It's beautiful, but it's completely distracting. But everything is here. You will definitely find your way through without any problems. Okay, the overview just mentioned the 6 actions that are available to you, and these are all the actions you're about to take. Yes, you can upgrade those actions, make them more powerful, or give you some extra rewards, but this is what you are going to do, and a lot of those are pretty much the same thing. So those 2 actions are more or less the same thing. The same is true with those 3. Yes, they work slightly differently depending on what it is you do. Maybe this King's Road kind of action is the one thing that's different. But again, it's a very simple game to its core mechanics. Blue will be the starting player. So we now have to make a choice which of those 6 actions we are about to take. And this is where this cool crane mechanic comes into the picture. All of those actions are printed on those action tiles here. In theory, you can take them all, but some of those will cost you money. Some of them might give you extra victory points, and some of those, like those green ones here, simply don't give you any extra special rewards. So those 2 actions are simply 2 actions I can take right now without any penalties, for example. If I desperately want to take one of those actions here on the red spaces, then I have to pay the coins respectively. So here it's 1 coin, 1 coin, 2 coins, 2 coins. I start the game with only 2 gold coins, so maybe that's not the best thing in the world. So maybe blue will go for one of those 2 actions here. They still come with a bonus here from the crane, but they don't cost us anything and they don't give us any extra victory points. So everything that's here in the blue line will give you some extra victory points. So if an action is not popular, not fancy enough, then it will move into the blue action. Then sooner or later a player will take it. And I think maybe we want to, this is not bad because it allows us to upgrade an action, never a bad thing. On the other hand, this is something that gives us some gold, or we can pretty much power up our gold resources, and maybe that's a very simple way to start. So we are taking this tile here. Let's quickly move it next to our player board here. And again, we have to make a choice now if we want to go for this action, pretty much producing gold or developing our gold mines, or we can build a piece of the city wall. I think right now city wall is okay and we could afford some of those, but I think early in the game it may not be the worst thing in the world to simply develop your gold mines. So we are going for this action up here, which now also gives us a choice. So we can either take 1 piece of gold, that's this right option here, and the leftmost option tells us, and on top of this we get to develop our gold mines, which is something for a later action, or we can simply produce in our current gold mines, and we have a starting value here. So if you would taken or choosing the bottommost action, we would produce everything that's here on the left hand of this gold mine track here. So we will take the highest number here, which in this case means we would produce 3 gold coins. That's not bad, but I think maybe we want to simply prepare for a later production action. So I think in this case we will go for the first option, which will simply give us 1 gold, because we want gold later on to also unlock this bonus here, for example, something I will hopefully be able to show you sooner or later. And then we are moving the gold production track 1 step to the right. So as of the next action, if we are doing this thing again, we could then really opt to go for the production action. Then we would gain 4 golds and we would also gain this victory point that we have just unlocked here. And again, the more we move to the right, the better it is. But in this case, that's already the end of our action. This action tile goes back to the crane. We are moving the crane 1 step further because this will always go to the first space of the red track here, or the red area. So whenever the next player is going to choose that, they have to pay 2 gold. And these things are double-sided. So if you want a more random kind of setup, you can play with the B side of all of those tiles. So this is also giving you some opportunity to change your game every time you play that. But that was already the blue player's turn. In theory, yes, I could spend windows to move up the hunger wall or the cathedral. I could spend gold and the white window to take an extra action. I don't have any of those. So we are simply moving over to the next player, which is purple. But again, all those players start with the very same starting configuration. We have 2 gold, 2 stone, we have the trucks in the same space. So they now also have to take an action. Now the wheel has changed, obviously, or rather the crane here. Now we do have a space here in this blue area. So and I think I forgot something already, Marcus. Yes, this bonus here. I was taking this space, right? I think I did. I did use this space. I would have been entitled to go for this bonus action of the crane. Oh man, silly me. In this case, I could go for a special building because I didn't build anything. I will simply score a victory point for that. So blue will now score 1 extra point. Okay, sorry, I totally missed that. But now pretty much the same thing. Purple has to make a call. They can go for any of those. Again, the red ones would cost them some money. And the blue one will right now give us an extra victory point. And honestly, that's also not the worst thing in the world, going for an upgrade relatively early. So I think let's totally do that, and let's try not to forget the bonus from the crane. In this case, if purple is taking this tile, they will automatically gain 1, 2 stone from that, simply from the crane, because we have taken the tile, or yeah, the tile from a blue area. Purple will score a victory point from that, and then of course we can still take our action. That's either going for the King's Road, building the King's Road. I think we are not going to do that because it's ideal that you have some eggs. And yeah, there's a cool backstory around those eggs. I think they used it for the Charles Bridge, if I recall that correctly. But in this case, let's simply go for one of those development tiles, I believe, or upgrade tiles. Indeed, they're upgrade tiles. So there are 3 normal tiles always available to us, and there is a stack of special tiles. And the special tile is something that you can only take if the crane would allow you to do that. Remember that little S over the crown from the space that the blue player took. So in this case, if blue would have decided to go for an upgrade action here in this case, then they would have been allowed to use that S, and then they would be allowed to claim the special tile, which is sometimes a little bit, or in most cases, more powerful. But not every time it's the right tile you need, actually. So don't get me wrong, it's not always best going for that special tile. But again, purple has to make a call now, so it's either this or that. This is not bad because it could give you some windows when you spend stones. This is cool because when you build, you can transform gold into stones. And if you take the King's Road action here for this one, it pretty much gives you victory points each time you're doing this, and you will do this up to 5 times. So this could be 5 additional victory points, for example, plus the extra bonuses you get from the tile here anyway. So I guess, no, I think purple will go for this one here. We are revealing a new tile right off the bat. So it's also for the King's Road action, so for 1 stone. We're basically doing the other way around, like this one here. But now purple has to lay this tile here on top of this thing here. The problem with this is it doesn't come with any special abilities around the corners here. So there are sometimes some of those edges here where you see this red symbol here, for example, or sometimes you see some connecting bonuses, for example, which we don't have. So this is a powerful tile on its own, but that's okay. Again, I will not show you how to play this game efficiently, simply showing you some of the different ways of playing this in respect to the decisions that you are about to take. But again, in this case, we have chosen this one here. It comes with this nice little head symbol here. And this pretty much simply tells you that you can up your Charles University track by 1. You really want to get as high as possible because this is your multiplier. If you end the game on these first 3 spaces, this track isn't worth anything to you. So let's say you make it all the way up here to 8 and you are still down here. It's pretty much 0 multiplied by 8. It's still a 0. So that's why you really have to focus on things. If that's what you are about to do, you can score your points in many other ways. So I'm not saying that this is the most important thing to do. Again, a lot of tough decisions in this game. And then last but not least, purple has to do the same thing. We are moving this 1 step over. We are placing it here. It doesn't really matter in which orientation to do that, because the player who's choosing that action tile gets to choose anyway if they want this or that action to go for. And then it's over to green. I don't show you their player board. I will simply focus on the actions that are available here, and most likely we are going for a freebie here right now, because later on, yeah, there might be a reason to really go for something here, because some of those spaces are indeed limited. So really want to make sure you are reaching some of those spaces earlier than others, but really early in the game, yeah, doesn't really matter too much. They could now simply start to build something, and there are buildings. No, there aren't. He couldn't afford anything, or they couldn't afford anything. So I guess we are also going for this, or maybe simply go for the stone spaces here. And again, just to show you that everyone is playing this game a little bit differently, I guess we are going for this action here. This allows the green player to spend one stone and transform the stone into an egg. And eggs are really extremely powerful in this game. So I think that's definitely a good choice. And I guess in respect to the action, they're going to use this one here for the quarry, which now again means they can make a choice. Either they produce their quarry. This would give them 2 stones. Not the most cool thing in the world, because there are no bonus that green would collect here. So I think in this case, they will also move this one, upping their production in respect to stone by 1, and they will still gain 1 bonus stone for this action. They can now still take this bonus here, and you can do your actions typically in any order. And that's the real cool part about this game, but it's also what makes this game so complex in respect to your decisions you're about to make. You really have to think your way through in which order those things really make the most sense. Sometimes it's very obvious, but sometimes it really can make a lot of difference in respect to getting extra windows, moving up the hunger wall, or taking extra actions. In this case, it's very simple. So pretty much green is now giving one of their stones back in order to transform this stone to an egg. And that's pretty much the end of green player's turn. Again, last thing to do, we are moving this thing over. We have to be a little bit careful, because this stone here will now, with the next action, fall into a hole. And then this will tell us that we are moving this crane track here, the platform, 1 step further. This is how the game actually progresses. But right now, if you pay attention, that's typically not a problem. And then it's back to the blue player. And it really seems that blue more or less has the same actions at their disposal. So they could go again for this one here. This would give them actually an extra 2 gold. And I think this makes perfect sense now. Blue is going for this action here. This will give blue an immediate 2 coins. So just be grateful that I didn't forget it this time. So they're now scratching at this stone here, and this really mechanically works so well. It really tells you, hey, here is a blocker. Something happens when I want to move further here. And then again, we are going for this action too. Again, we could go for the wall, but I think we are now at the perfect time to really get this stone here free, because those stones are also limited and you need them later on to place them on the board. Another thing to pay attention to, actually. And yeah, we can again make the decision if we simply want 1 coin and upping our production track, and maybe that's what we should do, because 1 coin is all we need to unlock this space. So I think again we will go for the topmost space, which means we are getting 1 extra gold. So we are freeing this stone here, we are getting it, and we have unlocked this space, which also tells me we are moving ahead on our technology track. We are covering this technology here, so we get to choose a technology during this turn, but you cannot use it right away anyway, so you can typically choose when it's the next player's turn. And we are still upping our gold production here. So the next time I'm going for it again, we might then really unlock 2 extra victory points and 5 gold. So I think definitely not the worst thing in the world. In respect to the action, that's about it. So again, we are moving the crane. You see this one slide it down. So I'm not really sure if you saw it particularly well. It told you, okay, something is about to happen. But before we move back here to the crane, blue will get 1, 2, 3 of those level 1 technologies and gets to choose one. And those are the 3 technologies that are available to the blue player. The level 1 and level 2 technologies typically give you an ongoing effect, whereas level 3 and level 4 technologies, because they're coming somewhat late in the game, they give you one-time bonus, typically very powerful. This gives you 2 extra points whenever you're climbing up the Hunger Wall or the St. Vitus or Vitus Cathedral. This gives you 2 points whenever I'm advancing on that gold track. I already did that twice. I'm pretty sure I will still do that, but maybe, I don't know if that's the best thing to do. And this one simply tells you whenever you gain victory points as a bonus from that crane, so from this inner section of the crane, we will simply get an extra victory point. I think we're really early in the game, so I guess blue will go for this one here. So whenever we're advancing upwards on the Hunger Wall or the St. Vitus Cathedral, we are getting 2 points. I think that's not a bad thing to have. Nicely done. Those go back to the bottom of the respective deck. And now we are moving back to the crane. And because this stone now slid into this little hole, so it's really locked now, so it really clearly tells you, okay, something happened here. We are moving this stone, this round track kind of, it's really a round but somewhat of a round track, 1 step ahead. Something will happen when it moves 2 steps more than we are exchanging all of those tier 1 tiles here. And again, it would also tell you, hey, we are about to end the game. But that's pretty much all that happens right now. So we are moving it here. So we have to do it something. It's kind of a bummer. I understand they had to make this hole. There's a hole really in the game board to make this stone slide into a little bit bigger than that it should be, because I'm pretty sure when they tested it, it did not slip through. So that's why that's the one piece where it's a little bit unclear. But again, this arrow really tells you, hey, when you hit this one here, the stone should be in there. So there are a lot of graphical things that help you remember what needs to be done, but typically not that big of a deal. Back to the purple player. So those are the 2 free actions that are available, but he's not really fencing any of those. He would love to build something here, but the problem is I still think he's not able to afford. Yes, he is actually. Yes, he is. So I guess he's building. Yeah, or they are building. Sorry for that. So purple is building, taking this stone. As the bonus action here, or not an action, as the bonus here, purple could go for an extra victory points right off the bat. It's okay, but not the coolest thing in the world. I think in this case, purple wants to build a special building rather than a standard building, because the special building is the only one he's able to afford actually. So I think, yeah, let's totally do that. And the special building that is available is this one here. It says this little S here. So purple is allowed to take it accordingly. It costs 2 gold. He has exactly 2 gold. So I will pay this now off camera. He's down to 0. So we are grabbing this special building and placing it somewhere in Prague. And I guess we are placing it next to this big plaza here. This is always the same plaza, but also those plazas are double-sided, and I kind of randomized those. Not sure if I should have done that, but I did. So we are placing, and this building here is something that's placed there as part of setup in a 2 or 3 player game. There are some extra buildings on the board, and you're also removing 1 or 2 of those plazas. So we have, and all buildings are next to a plaza. So this plaza allows you to have in total 5 different buildings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next to it. And something will happen once all those 5 buildings are placed around it. Right now, nothing is going to happen. We already paid our cost here. What this means now is I think we cannot twist and things, or this doesn't really help them in any way. So this blue one here, typically when you place blue next to another blue building, for example, we would be allowed to take one of those blue bonus tiles. Again, we didn't do that, so not a big deal. Everything that's green is an immediate bonus. So in this case, that's a book and a stone. So we already know what the stone is, and purple is now also on the way to unlock this space here. And the book is simply the book, so we are advancing on this track too. So purple will now also be able to collect 1 technology from that. But we are not done yet, because purple still gets some victory points, and that's this little message up here. You get 1 point for each building that's adjacent to the same plaza here. And it counts itself too. That's 1, 2 extra victory points for purple in this case. Not great, but certainly better than nothing. There are buildings where you are allowed to place your cubes on. So this shows you that you have a claim for the particular building. In this case, this wasn't one of those. So purple was not able to place a cube there. The cubes are really extremely useful because as soon as you trigger the plaza, so when all the spaces around it are occupied or built, then the player who has the most claims around the plaza will take both of those rewards, and all the other players with a claim get to choose one of those rewards. In this case, there is no claim on either of those buildings. Even though purple built this building, there is no claim cube on it. So it really doesn't help purple in respect to any of those bonus, but we can still do that later. In this case, we simply opted for basically the maximum amount of victory points here. Let's quickly reveal a new special tile here. Oh, that's a nice one, a book and 5 points. Ooh, that's definitely something. And then we are moving the crane onward accordingly. Again, we have something in the blue area here, and I think that's something for green to consider, because green has an egg now, and I think let's do that. So green will go for this tile. This means green will get a window, a white window. There are white and golden windows. In this case, that's a white window. They all do amazing stuff to us. Because it was in the blue zone, green will also score their first victory point. Hooray! And I think green is going to go for the constructing the King's Road, I believe. Which means they're moving their little pawn here onto the first space. Typically those start off the board. I simply place them next to the board here to the road. So green will move in here, so they get 2 potential rewards. The rightmost reward is something that you typically can always claim. In this case, that's either 2 stone or 2 gold. I think in this case we will simply go for 2 gold, because this gold is somewhat powerful in respect to building stuff. Maybe a bad idea, but I will do it anyway. The second reward, this is this one here, can only ever be unlocked if you are spending an egg, and that was the reason why I typically wait until I have an egg before I move ahead. Not every time it's the best thing to do. Sometimes you simply are okay with only 1 reward here. Maybe that's exactly what you need at that point in time, but if you can, why not do that? So we are also spending the egg, or green is doing that, and they get to choose if they want to upgrade their quarry or their gold mines. In this case, I believe they already up their gold mine. Did they really do that? No, the quarry. They upgraded the quarry. Exactly. So yeah, I guess we will stick to the quarry then. Yeah, let's do that. Which means again we are moving this thing 1 step ahead, and I keep forgetting things in this game, because you see this little icon that's on top of this stone now, and I forgot this also for the blue player, because it's the same thing for the gold mine down there, but blue in theory has first dibs in respect on what to do. So this allows you to take one of those bonus, let's say, production tiles. Those are placed here on the river Flotava, I believe. Hopefully I'm not butchering the name here. And yeah, again, blue had first dibs. Some of those are duplicates, like those and those. And yeah, getting extra victory points is cool, but getting those will give you a victory point and an extra coin. And I think blue would have, he did that on the gold track. So I think blue would go for this tile, and I guess green is simply doing the opposite of that. So green will go for this one here, and it has to go into the track from where it was triggered. So in this case, we are placing this tile here. So this one now also counts as 1 visible, let's say, space that's being unlocked. So let's say at a later point in time, green will go for the action to go for this one here. And they would produce, they would gain 4 stone, this victory point, and this. Oh, I think I did it the other way. No, I wanted to do this the other way around, actually. Apologies. So Blue would have taken this one, and yeah, I think it's typically for the best to really mix and match those. So apologies for that too. But okay, then we would get 4 stone, this victory point, and 1 gold coin. So that's really extremely powerful here. Sorry that I forgot that. But I believe those were kind of all of the actions. So again, we are moving this thing 1 step ahead. We are moving it in here. And then it's back to the blue player. And again, apologies for really butchering all of those, or forgetting a lot of those extra bonuses. But really playing this game for 3 players is certainly a challenge. Blue is going for the upgrade tile here. So we are going for this. He's also spending 1 gold, going down to 5 to convert this into an egg. Again, we have some plans. As for the upgrade, we are not allowed to take the special tile because, again, there was no S in this section here. But there are still some tasty ones out here. So I guess in this case, blue will go for this upgrade tile here for the King's Road action. Again, we are getting 1 step on the Charles University track. That's pretty much because we have taken this tile. That's a bonus right off the bat. The level 2 tiles will give you 2 steps. Even so, I think that's still more powerful. Then we have to place this tile somewhere in here, and I think we can put them into any orientation. I think it's very likely that we are maybe build a wall in here. That's why we want this connection space out here, and the red bonus tile or the potential bonus tile we are moving over there. I think that's our plan for this round. And that's, yeah, already the end of that turn. Again, we don't have any white windows or a combination of white and golden windows. So we simply move over to the next action of the next player, that is, of course. So let's move this over. We are sliding it here, and then it's back to green. And by the way, I didn't forget the bonus tile. I simply chose one pretty much off camera, simply to keep things going, and I will show these to you or will explain them when they're triggering. Really hope I'm not forgetting those. Right now, in theory, there is a way how we can trigger this, but then we have to spend a coin, so that doesn't necessarily help them in any way. This one, on the other hand, would give us some potential thing. Here, purple would be able to upgrade their stone mines and would also unlock that space. And I guess that's what purple is about to do. Yeah. So purple is going for this one here. Therefore, purple will claim a window. Again, you can take those in any order, but usually getting those things is something that you can go for it right away before you forget. And again, we are going for the more or less quarry action here, which again gives us the possibility to either produce our stones, which would be okay when we would move over or would unlock this space here anyway, but we wouldn't get any bonuses. So I guess we are simply going for the same one. We are upgrading our stone production and we are getting 1 stone. This will unlock this one here up to 6, so we have unlocked another stone, and we also get another step on our technology. So we will get a level 2 technology right off the bat, and those are the level 2 technologies that are available to us. This one says when you get 1 red of those, you get the extra amount. Here those are kind of the opposite of each other. Here it says when you take a building that has this symbol here on it, you will get a victory point and a stone. And here it says if you take a building that doesn't have it on it, you get a coin and the victory point. Of course, I think likelihood that you get one of those with it is lower than this one here, but this one is also great because you want to get those red things out because they give you some extra victory points, for example. I think let's go for this level 2 technology. Again, those go back to the bottom of the stack. And I believe this was already the action again. And that's something I really found, that this game is moving relatively quickly, even though it comes with a lot of synergies you have to be aware of, but typically you know what you're about to do. So I really like that a lot, actually. Okay, here we now have to move it 1 step further actually, because yeah, there was no space in here. But this also means that this tile now comes with 2 extra victory points. So that's now really tempting for the green player. And in theory, they could go for a wall space, right? It doesn't give them something immediately, I guess, but could be, that's 2 points. I mean, really, missing out on those 2 points is actually and we get a stone. I mean, that's never a bad thing. So yeah, I think so. We have to do that. So green is going for this tile here. Therefore, green will score 1, 2 extra points just because it was here in that zone. Green is also getting a stone from that. That's the normal bonus. And then again, we can make a choice if we want to go for this or that action here. And I guess going for a wall might not be the worst thing in the world. Again, we cannot go for the special tile here because there was no S in that respective area. Here we would get another egg and we would gain a blue step, which isn't bad actually. So that's really not a terrible wall tile here, but though this one as well, because we will get 2 red spaces here. Here we would get 2 victory, but getting the egg here might be the better deal actually. I think so. So green is going for this wall tile here. This comes with a cost of 3, which we can afford without any problems, but we are going down to 0. But again, that's not the end of the world. Then we are allowed to place that wall, and a wall is placed adjacent to your action wheel here in this case. So we can basically place it anywhere, and right now it doesn't matter at all. The only thing that you really want to make sure is that you are placing it in a way that you will be able to make this connection here, for example. And sorry for that glare. So let's say we build another wall in here that also has something similar to it. Let's say we are building this tile here next to it. Then we would have made a connection and both of those bonuses would trigger right away. But right now that's not yet going to happen, but that's still cool enough. Therefore, we are still getting the immediate bonus. That's an egg. And we also can trigger this blue icon here. So finally, I can show you some movement here on, I think that's the hunger wall. Exactly. It was the green player, and the blue icon allows you to move your little cube 1 step to the left. There is a similar thing on the St. Vitus Cathedral. This is where the red icons move, and in this case, the red would move you to the right. And there are some bonus spaces on here. So let's say in a later step, green would move up 1 step. They would collect this extra victory points here. But what this step to the left ultimately means is that for each of the blue bonus tokens that you have, oops, come on, where is it? At the end of the game, green will now score 1 victory point for each of those. And the farther you move to the left here, the more those blue tiles will be worth to you. Moving up on this track will simply give you some pre-printed values here. So let's say he's moving up here to the second line of that hunger wall. They would score 4 points, 8 points, and 22 points, which is truly insane. And yeah, that's pretty much how this movement here works. There are some costs you have to pay when you move from this stage to this stage here, for example. But apart from that, it's really something that you want to do. And at the early stages of the game, you're really not sure yet where you should be moving. But as soon as there is a call made, so in this case, they move to the blue. So maybe green is now focus on getting more of those blue icons here, for example, if they would be able to get some of those. But that was pretty much the wall and how it triggered. Let's simply reveal a new wall. Oh, that's a powerful one. Wow, 2 steps up the Charles University. That's insane. And again, this comes with a bonus. Well, this would be the perfect wall for the green player actually. Let's bring this one back, and I guess it's back to blue, right? I really hope I haven't messed things up actually. No, I think I should be good. It's blue next. Blue indeed has an egg and gets a bonus from this King's Road action, and the stones would be great too. So maybe that's what we are going to do. Yeah, I think let's do that. I think this could work out pretty well, actually. So blue is going for this action here. Therefore, we are getting 2 extra stones. So we are moving up to 4, that is. That was only the bonus from this inner section of the crane. Then we get to choose for the action. I think we are going for this King's Road, because whenever we're doing the King's Road action now, we are getting an extra victory point for that. So blue will move to 2 victory points. Hooray! And then, yeah, let's take that action simply. So it's pretty much the same thing. We are moving over here. We get to choose this or that. And again, we are going for 2 extra stones, because in this case, blue is unlocking the next section here on their player board, which means we are moving this 1 step further up. Let's quickly have a look at those. No, let's finish the action first. Again, we cannot use it right away anyway. And for the second option here, blue is spending the egg, goes into the road or into the bridge, and I guess in this case we are moving further on our gold mine track, which means we are moving over here again. Right now this didn't give them any specific bonus, but if we are somehow making it all the way here to this max point, we will also be able to place one of our stones onto one of those sigils up here, which would also give you some end game bonus points. Let's quickly choose the layer or stage 2 technology. For every egg you're getting, you're doing this. Oh, that's nice. For every blue token you get this, and for a wall that has this symbol you get this. I think X is cool, so I think we will go for this technology here. Again, those go back to the bottom of the stack, and I think, yeah, green doesn't have any of those technologies yet. Let's turn the wheel. We are moving over here, and then it's purple's turn, and purple could gain a point from there. And yeah, purple really has a lot of stone. On the other hand, they could also unlock their 3rd stone now by going for this action here, actually, and would gain a gold. And I could show you something. Let's do it just to show you stuff. That's why I'm doing this. Purple is going for this action here. This would give him 1 gold coin from the crane. But because purple has this technology which tells them whenever you gain gold as a bonus from the crane, you get 1 extra coin and 1 victory point for that. That's why I chose that. Though purple will score a point, I will do that off camera, moving to 4 points, and in total they will get 2 gold coins for that action. So I think that was definitely worth it. And then we still can take either of those actions. We could build something. I think we are not able to afford it, so we will go for the mining action. In this case, I think purple is going to produce. Again, we are more or less getting this amount of stones. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So bam, we maxed out here. We unlocked this. This would give us, or purple in this case, that is 1 golden window. That's really insane. Again, these golden windows, they're really great. They give you extra actions, for example. And therefore, because not only 3 stone, we would also gain 1 extra victory point. So purple is already at 5, because again, we have unlocked this space. And now purple gets to choose if they want to immediately use the golden and the white window here for a bonus action. This bonus action can be any of that 6 here, and you get all the bonuses that are related to that in that case. So is there something that they want to do immediately? We can still wait. I mean, they really have a lot of stone. And again, this thing is unlocked, so we will not go there again with gold, for example. So we could spend the stone for a wall section, for example. But is there something of interest? I think there is, actually. Yes. Purple is spending their windows. This can be 2 golden windows or a golden and a white window in this case. So let's spend those 2 tokens to build a wall. We can never go for the special type with this bonus action, because again, there is no S on those windows. And this one here is really extremely powerful. 2 steps up the Charles University seems very good. Let's do that. So we were going for this wall here. So purple needs to spend 2 stone, really not a problem. We are taking that wall section here. Again, we are placing this next to our board here. Again, doesn't really matter too much where we place it. Maybe something like, maybe this. Let's go with this. Might something useful might come up sooner or later. And you also get some points for the amount of walls you have by the end of the game. So if you manage to have 3 walls around your player board somewhere, they don't need to be adjacent in any way, you will score 6 points. With 4 you already get 10 points and so on. So you can get a lot of points for a lot of things in this game. The immediate bonus is 2 steps on the child's university. That's 1 and 2. So now we are here where this track starts to make sense, because now the multiplier will start to kick in. So right now this is worth 2 points. If we are making this now up to here, that's 8 points. If we move in this, it's 2 times 8 points here, for example. So now we are getting somewhere, and that's really the cool part in this game, that I think it really allows for a lot of different strategies in respect to how you will get your points. Something I really like a lot. Let's move that crane 1 step further, and then it's back to green. And again, for green, it's so tempting going for this action here. Problem is, they don't have the stone in any way. We could go for the gold actions though, but does it? But 2 extra points just for nothing. That's truly amazing. On the other hand, down here is also a nice one. The thing is, if they are not going to go for this one here, this will move further, and then blue will definitely score those 3 points here. But again, it's a subpar action to some extent. If green would be allowed to build a wall now, for example, or had the material to build the stone, then yes, maybe we would do that. But in this case, I really don't know if that's the best choice. Yeah, we could go for the gold mine action, but poof, also not great. And green has the X, so maybe again we want to focus on different aspects of the game for each of the players, and I think green already did fairly well in respect to those King's Road actions. So I guess, yeah, let's do that. So green will go for this action here. They will simply score a point, because again, S doesn't help you with the King's Road action, so they are moving up to 4 victory points. That's definitely something. And yeah, I think again we will go for the King's Road, which means green will move to the 2nd step of the King's Road. So for the, let's call it, free action here, they are going to spend 1 gold coin. Yes, we are totally doing that. So green is down to 3 gold coins and transforming those into 4 victory points. That's amazing though. Green is now at 8. And here we will definitely spend an egg now to go for the gold window or the technology. That's now a tempting thing, because green has a white window, and with a golden window they could also take another action. But the extra book is also great, because I think green wants to hold on to the white window to move up the hunger wall instead. So I guess, yeah, in this case we will go for the technology, I guess, which means hooray, we are moving up the track here. They also get to choose one of those 3, and I really now redecide and say, let's show you all of those technology tiles when they come out. But in fact, I think you have seen them all now, because again, there are only 6 or so in each of those stages. So they're all here. Again, this is an upgrade in this track. In this track, that's 2 points. If they get a point from the middle of the wheel of the crane, they would get a bonus point. I think green is moving towards this quarry track, so I think we will go for this technology here. Again, in theory, those go back to the bottom of the stack, but no one else will go there, because we all have level 1 technologies now. So that's pretty much that, right? And I think, yeah, last thing to do is to move the crane in here. And now this action really is awfully tempting for the blue player. But I believe I will end my little playthrough of Praga Caput Regni here and now. I will let you vote if you want me to continue my playthrough or not. And I think I forgot to reveal a new world tile down here, but again, that's really not that big of a deal. So if you are really interested in me continuing my little playthrough here, I might do 1 or 2 more episodes then. If you are fine and so I have seen all I needed to see, please carry on with something else. I'm fine too. Just let me know, vote for it, write in your comments, whatever. I will count those and will make my decisions accordingly. I must say it's really an amazing game. It really, I'm typically not the sucker for hype-based games. Okay, with Vladimir Suchi, there was really not a lot of danger actually that this game would fall flat for me. But in this case, as for every hype game, I'm typically a little bit more careful. The only thing which I always fall for are games from Alexander Pfister or Stefan Ferl. That's typically something I have to get. But here I also really wasn't disappointed and even really positively surprised about the quality, the complexity, and still the nice flow of the game, which is really something I enjoy quite a lot actually. So yeah, let me know and I will consider it accordingly. A huge shout out to all of my patrons out there. Really do appreciate all your support. If you want to support the show, you will find a link to my page on Patreon. It will pop up sometimes during this video. There's a link in the description. You can join me here directly on YouTube if that's your thing or if it's easier for you. Appreciate that too. Like and subscribe also helps a big deal. And yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And until then, bye bye.